Empire. Today we want to open the pages of one of the Bible books, the book of Jonah. He was called one of the minor prophets, but I want to tell you that his story is even more relevant to each one of us than those of Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Hosea. Each book of the Bible has a particular thing to teach. Now, Jonah was a prophet, and the book of Jonah relates a particular mission that God gave to Jonah. At the time God called Jonah, Jonah was already an established prophet. He was mentioned in the second book of Kings, and he was known. He had already served God as a prophet for several years, although there are no particular mentions of what he said otherwise. That particular mission must have taken him unawares. It was a mission that was not to be fulfilled in his own place and country. He was told to go to Nineveh. It was a new mission, and from what we read, we can see that Jonah didn't like the mission that God was calling him to. He just felt immediately a particular dislike for that calling. He knew Nineveh. Nineveh was recorded as being a very wicked and corrupt city that was paining God. People had a behavior that was totally unacceptable to God, but God loved them. And we learn as we approach God that He loves the whole world, even those that are completely rotten. The proof of it is that He sent Jesus into a world that was really, really bad. Really bad. Where for several hundreds of years He didn't speak. There was no prophet for a long time before John the Baptist. So Nineveh was known to Jonah, and Jonah just didn't want that mission. He didn't like the destination. He had absolutely no enthusiasm for it, no sympathy whatsoever for Nineveh. And you might wonder, how could he be a prophet, somebody that God had been involving in his project for mankind, and yet he displayed so little of God's heart? So it's a warning for all of us. If you want to really serve God, if we want to serve God, then we need to allow Him first to transform us. If you launch yourself into a mission for God without Him having taken the time to transform you, forget about it, or you will have to accept a crash program of transformation. God can use anyone, anytime, but transformation is part of the mission. We cannot serve God unless we resemble Him, unless we share His heart, unless His heart inside us beats with the same love and compassion that Jesus' heart. And also, Jonah knew God just enough to know that you can't escape Him, but he nevertheless tried. He just decided to go in the opposite direction. And the irony is that he had to pay for the boat. Probably God would have provided a transport for him to go to Nineveh. But he didn't want that. So he went, chose a destination of his own, like the song says, my way. He did it his way. And he paid for the trip. And so many people have done that ever since. Paid sometimes heavily for a trip or a project that God didn't approve. I know I've done that. At a point in Nigeria, I really wanted to go back to France. So I discussed when I came to France for a year on sabbatical. I was about to return to Nigeria, and the colleagues were pushing me to do something to come back, saying Nigeria is really bad. I kind of agreed. And I spent over 3,000 francs at that time to pay my way. I had photocopies upon photocopies upon photocopies, and applied, and all came to naught. It was wasted money, wasted time, because it was not God's plan. I got influenced. Don't get influenced. So Jonah takes the boat, and we're going to see what happens next time in part 2 of the Jonah Project. But for the meantime, look at yourself. Let us examine ourselves and ask God, are we ready to be transformed by Him? Are we ready for Him to give us new eyes, new ears, new heart, so that we share in His empathy, in His sympathy, in His love, passionate love for the world?